and Bernie Sanders are still leading in the latest morning consult poll, but Michael Bloomberg sure appears to be surging.
Team Rising is here with their takes on this. Maximilian Alvarez, he's host of the Working People podcast, and Marshall Kosloff is a media analyst. Two great friends of the show.
Indeed.
Good to see you
Welcome,
guys.
gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
So, this is a crazy, Morning Consult came out with this poll this morning, essentially showing, it's generally kind of what we've seen, 29 Biden, 23 Bernie.
They're pretty much static.
Yeah, essentially static. But, the Michael Bloomberg number, Max, at 12%, is really highlighting just how much of an effect he's having on this race. And just to give you an example, Amy Klobuchar even, who's far behind him at 3% nationally, has come out and she's qualified for the debate. And she said, you know what, maybe it's time to change the rules to get Michael Bloomberg up on that stage. Because if you're going to carpet bomb this country with ads and not face any effective scrutiny, I think that's wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've said on this show before that, it pisses me off to no end that, Michael Bloomberg is running a campaign expressly devoted to exploiting everything that's wrong with this system, and it's working.
Right.
And that's what drives me nuts. I love, watching football. This guy's everywhere. Every commercial break, you see his advertisements. But like you said, Sagar, this is just making so transparent how broken the system is when you can carpet bomb, the public with these public advertisements, essentially create your own narrative without ever having to kind of defend yourself on a debate stage.
Right.
And the thing that blows my mind is that Bloomberg is trying to kind of present himself as, self-funding his campaign, thus he is not beholden to special interests. $60 billion net worth is a special interest.
He has his own interest.
Right.
At heart. His own interest.
Li Fang reported this in The Intercept. The guy has also stocked his staff with corporate lobbyists. The special interests are embedded within everything that Michael Bloomberg actually is.
So as if people haven't had enough Bloomberg ads, I did want to play a little bit of a Bloomberg ad just so we get a taste of what he is out there doing. Let's take a listen.
Prices are coming down now for prescription drugs.
We're going to get drug prices way down, way down.
Marshall, I can be honest with you.
It's a pretty good ad.
I watched several of these ads.
Yeah.
They're pretty good ads.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that he's climbing in the polls, especially since Max said, he's able to carpet bomb everywhere and not face any scrutiny for his record or his views. The fact that he still is on board with the Iraq war, he's not getting or taking any questions on that. So all you're seeing is that ad. I kind of get it.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely kicking themselves for not entering the race way earlier, because I think just the fact that he surged so quickly, and this isn't just purely about money, because Tyre's been blanketing the states as well too, and he's still sitting at 3% in that morning consult poll.
So what do you owe that? Because to me, that ad is brilliant, because it's like drug pricing. That's one thing everybody can relate to, especially seniors. You carpet bomb, you're like, Trump said he was going to lower them, he didn't, I can. It's kind of a technocratic message, but it's highly targeted. It's simple to what people really care about. It's not a bad message, right?
It's a great. Look, I'm not just sucking up to him here. It's a great message.
Yeah, it is.
Well, because what he's basically saying, because I think the thing to distinguish him, we're talking about him being a billionaire and having interest. He does have a record, though. Yeah. He was the mayor of New York City. So I think if there was a person who could make this case that Donald Trump is incompetent, I am competent, I have a record, it makes sense that's resonating with people, especially when the people who I think are most sympathetic to that, aka Joe Biden voters, Mayor Pete voters, are seeing their candidates, both in the inexperienced side with Mayor Pete, but also with Joe Biden not really being in his prime right now. This makes a lot of sense.
I thought the tagline there, Mike can get it done, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Just like Marshall said. Because even I have this impression of I find his views abhorrent, ideologically, I'm completely opposed. Even I have an impression of this guy is at least competent,
Yeah. No, capitalism is a hell of a drug, right? I mean, like this is, I think, exactly what Bloomberg is running on, right? He is running on people's deeply embedded faith that we can somehow purchase a solution to the problems that have wreaked havoc on our society over these past decades.
And also the mythology that we are fed from the cradle, that billionaires, that the corporate overlords deserve to be there, that they are worthy of that they're smart enough. I mean, I still am subjected to that kind of sense of, oh, well, they're superior to us, etc. So when you have him come along and say, don't worry, everyone, I've got it, I think it's very appealing.
What do you think, Marshall?
I'm going to disagree with all of that.
Yeah.
I think that critique applies to Tom Steyer. I think that critique applies to President Trump when he was running in 2015. But I think he's running as a competence guy. I think he'd be running the same campaign even if he was like a 10 million, if he only had 10 million.
But it wouldn't resonate the same. That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't resonate that way without
his mayoral record does kind of solidify that, because everybody does know that Bloomberg, look, I think the way he ran the city was bad. I mean, turning Manhattan into a luxury good and all that, that's not a good thing economically. But in terms of the day-to-day services, everybody knows that Bloomberg did a very good job at go to New York right now. There's trash all over the streets. I mean, that's one thing that people are things did get a little bit worse after Michael Bloomberg left office.
I think that may depend on the community that you're talking to.
Well, I mean, that is a good point. And I think that it's interesting too. And I think for me, the biggest intersecting thing with him, Max, is his complete just kowtowing to the Chinese government, because it highlights what you're talking about, which is that the $60 billion is a special interest. How did that $60 billion and the hundreds of billion-dollar empire that Bloomberg has amassed come to be? And it came through direct financial entanglements with global elites all over the world. I saw this in a New York Times interview that he did. They asked him about Hong Kong. He goes, well, it's just a complicated situation, right? And that's literally what he said. He said Xi Jinping is not a dictator. That shows you how capital and entanglements like that, it's just as much of a liability as, say, a public record of anybody else.
Yeah, and they're both terrible, right? I mean, like Marshall said, I mean, I don't want it to be lost on people that, as far as his political record goes, I find Bloomberg abhorrent, right? And as do many black and brown people, working class people, who have been largely forgotten, in under his reign. And, I think that, like you said, Sagar, this really does speak to kind of the technocratic ethos of, Bloombergian politics, this kind of neoliberal mold of politics, where, like I said, people are hoping that they can vote for someone that they have confidence in to get things done for them, right? Whereas there is a candidate who is telling you to your face that it's not going to be me, it's going to be us. It's not going to be, some rich lobbyist in a boardroom figuring out the best kind of market-friendly way to solve our problems. It's you. You are the solution. You need to get out. You need to put pressure on this system. You need to advocate for your own interests, because people like Bloomberg, no matter how good their advertisements are not going to do it.
Yeah, but let me just say, I mean, Marshall, his path is rapidly developing. It's becoming, as Biden slides a little bit, his positioning is, and we're going to talk about that more in the next block. You could imagine a coalescing around Bloomberg as the anti-Bernie, and going into the convention, I could see it all happening.
Yeah, and I think, just to finish up, I think people should be careful what they wish for with trying to get him into the debates. I don't think he's afraid of going into the debates at all. I think he's pursuing his donor strategy just because he doesn't care. He doesn't care. But I think, they talk about this in the articles. He's prepping for debates right now. He expects to be on that stage, and I think that he's going to do better on the debates. I think he's going to do better than Klobuchar does on that debate stage. He'll definitely outshine Tom Steyer, and that's not just my tie talking. I think that he's definitely going to overperform there, and I think there are people who are going to be sympathetic to his message. He's going to say that.
Marshall's making a shameless play for that Steyer cat. All right, guys, sit tight. We'll be right back after this.